Okay, let me paint you a picture. It's the 25th of the month. Your salary just hit. 60,000 rupees in your account. Solid, right? Middle management, good company, Bangalore or Pune or Gurgaon, decent life. You're doing okay. But here's what happens next. Rent goes 18,000 rupees. EMIs 12,000 rupees. Groceries, Swiggy, weekend plans, another 15,000 rupees. Netflix, Spotify, gym membership you haven't used in 3 weeks, 3,000 rupees. And before you even blink, you're sitting on 12,000 rupees, maybe 10,000 rupees. And you tell yourself, next month. Next month, I'll actually invest properly. Next month, I'll get serious. Sound familiar? Because here's the thing. If that scenario felt specific, that's because it describes the financial reality of somewhere between 4 to 6 crore Indian urban professionals right now in 2026. And most of them, most of you, have no idea how deep the numbers actually go. So today, we are going to talk about the real money stats of the average Indian professional, not the motivational poster version, the actual uncomfortable data-backed version. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand not just what is happening, but why it is happening, and more importantly, what to do about it. My name is Rohan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why incredibly smart, hardworking Indian professionals are still living paycheck to paycheck despite earning 95% of the world. If you are someone who gets a decent salary increment every year but somehow never feels richer, if your savings account is basically just a waiting room before money moves somewhere else, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with the first shocking stat. And honestly, this one set me back a bit when I dug into the data. According to 2026 benchmarks, the average Indian urban professional, and when I say professional, I mean someone with a degree working in a formal sector job in a city, earns somewhere around 55,000 to 75,000 rupees per month before taxes. Now you might be thinking, Rohan, that still seems off. I know people earning way more and way less than that. And you're right, because that number is what economists call an average. And in India, averages are basically useless. Here's why. India's salary distribution is one of the most unequal in the world. You have a massive base of people earning 12,000 to 25,000 rupees a month in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, pulling that average down. And then you have software engineers, finance professionals, and GCC employees in metros pulling that up. Some of them pulling 15 lakh to 40 lakh rupees a year or even higher. So the more honest number for the urban professional watching this video, according to 2026 salary benchmark data, the average annual base pay for a formally employed urban Indian is in the range of 10 to 12 lakh rupees per year. Middle management in cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, you're looking at 80,000 to 1 lakh 20,000 rupees a month. Great, right? Actually earning good money. So why does the bank balance still feel like it's constantly gasping for air? Here's what most people don't realize. Your nominal salary is not your actual salary. Once you take away income tax, provident fund deductions, professional tax, you're often looking at 25 to 30% of your gross salary disappearing before you even see it. Someone earning 12 lakh rupees per year is actually taking home somewhere around 9 to 9.5 lakh rupees with basic deductions applied. And most people are doing zero tax planning. There's also something called lifestyle inflation, and this is where things get psychologically interesting. The EY India Future of Pay report says Indian salaries are projected to grow at 9.1% in 2026. That sounds great, but if your personal spending is growing faster than that because of lifestyle upgrades, bigger rent, fancier phones, more frequent travel, you're going backwards in real terms, even while your salary goes up. I call this the salary treadmill. You're running faster every year, but the floor is moving faster than you are. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting and honestly a little alarming. India is traditionally known as a nation of savers. Our parents, our grandparents, they would squirrel away money like it was a competitive sport. Gold under the bed, fixed deposits, post office schemes, the whole thing. But here's the stat that shocked me when I first read it. The net financial savings of Indian households dropped to just 14.16 lakh crore rupees in FY 2022-23, the lowest level in 6 years. That's only about 5.3% of GDP. As recently as FY 2021-22, it was 7.2%. That's a massive drop in just 1 year. Now there's meaningful recovery. SBI Economic Research projects that figure climbing back to around 22 lakh crore rupees, approximately 6.5% of GNDI in FY 2024-25. That's encouraging. But let's talk about why it crashed in the first place, because the reasons are still very much active. Two reasons, and both of them are things you're probably doing right now. Number one, we are borrowing like never before. Annual household borrowings in India have hit record levels. Personal loans, credit cards, buy now, pay later schemes, Indians borrowed aggressively in the post-COVID period. And here's the painful math. Credit card interest in India runs 29 to 45% per year. Not a typo, 29 to 45%. If your savings are sitting in an FD earning 7%, you're essentially lighting money at fire at 22 to 38% compounding against yourself. Every single month you carry a credit card balance, you're guaranteeing yourself a loss no investment can offset. Number two, we are putting money into the wrong kind of assets. Here's a fascinating breakdown from NSO data. Of all household savings in India, roughly 70% sits in physical assets, primarily real estate and gold, while only 30% goes into financial assets like mutual funds, stocks, and bank deposits. We are locking wealth into walls and bricks, real estate, the family flat, the plot on the outskirts of the city. Now look, I'm not saying real estate is always a bad investment, but let me give you a real comparison. If your parents bought a flat in 2005 for 30 lakh rupees, it might be worth 1.2 crore rupees today. That sounds incredible. That's roughly 6 to 7% compounded annual growth. But Sensex from 2005 to today, around 11 to 13% CAGR. Let's use 12% as our midpoint. That 30 lakh rupees in a decent index fund would have compounded over 21 years to approximately 3.15 crore rupees. The brick on the wall cost you roughly 1.95 crore rupees of additional wealth at that midpoint, and anywhere between 1.4 crore rupees to 3.1 crore rupees depending on which end of the return range actually played out. And that's nominal, pre-tax. The after-tax inflation-adjusted gap is somewhat smaller but still staggering. You can't live in a mutual fund, I get it, but the math doesn't lie. So here's the thing. I don't want this video to just be a doom scroll of depressing data, because there is genuinely good news happening in India's financial market right now. Bear with me, because the contrast is what makes this so frustrating. India led the entire world in IPO issuances in FY 2025 to 2026. The Economic Survey 2026 confirmed it. Our primary markets are on fire. Mutual fund inflows are surging, household investment is visibly shifting toward financial assets. SIP culture is going mainstream in a way it never has before. The RBI has cut the repo rate by 125 basis points since early 2025. That's a significant easing cycle, making it a better environment for borrowers and equity markets alike. The opportunity is genuinely enormous right now. And yet, only a small fraction of earning Indian professionals are actually capturing this opportunity in any meaningful way. Let me hit you with a number. Top performing equity mutual funds in India over the past 3 years: HDFC Flexi Cap at around 22%, HDFC Mid Cap closer to 27%, Parak Parek Flexi Cap around 21%. That's a range of roughly 21 to 27% annualized returns across those funds. Even on a more conservative long-term basis, Nifty 50 index funds have averaged around 11 to 13% CAGR since 2000. Now, a very important note here: historical returns are not guaranteed and past performance may not predict future results. Markets go through cycles. These are also pre-tax nominal numbers. Equity gains above 1 lakh rupees per year attract 12.5% long-term capital gains tax. Always factor that in, diversify across asset classes, and consult a SEBI-registered advisor for your personal situation. But even accounting for all of that, the long-term trajectory of Indian equities has been compelling. Now, let's do some actual math. This is my favorite part. Suppose you're 28 years old earning 60,000 rupees a month. You decide to start a SIP of just 10,000 rupees per month. That's 16.5% of your income. Not nothing, but not crazy either. You invest in a decent diversified equity fund. Let's be conservative, say 12% annual returns. After 30 years, when you're 58, that 10,000 rupees per month becomes approximately 3.5 crore rupees. 3.5 crore rupees from 10,000 rupees a month. Quick note, these are nominal pre-tax returns. Adjust for approximately 4% inflation and LTCG tax for your real purchasing power, but even in real terms, the gap is enormous. Now, here's the version of you who keeps saying next month. Same salary, same 30 years, but you started just 5 years later at 33. Same fund, same returns. Your corpus, roughly 1.9 crore rupees. You invested for 5 fewer years and lost 1.6 crore rupees of wealth. 5 years of next month cost you 1.6 crore rupees. I'll let that sit for a second. Now you might be thinking, Rohan, I barely have 10,000 rupees to spare, and that's a real concern. But here's what most people don't realize. SIPs can be started for as little as 500 rupees. The point is not the amount on day one. The point is getting on the compounding escalator now. You can increase the amount as your salary grows. That's called a step-up SIP. Even a 3,000 rupees SIP with 10% step-up every year transforms into something seriously meaningful over 20 to 25 years. Here's the part of this conversation that most financial YouTubers skip because it's uncomfortable. The math is not the problem. Most people who are struggling financially know they should be investing. They've watched videos, they've read articles, they know SIPs exist. So why isn't it happening? Three psychological traps, and I've seen all three of these wreck people's finances. Trap number one, present bias. Our brains are literally wired to value 1000 rupees today more than 1000 rupees tomorrow, even if tomorrow's version is mathematically worth more. Behavioral economists call it hyperbolic discounting. This is well documented in the work of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, Nobel-recognized researchers in behavioral economics, and reflected in India-specific findings from Niti Aayog's 2024 report on household savings behavior among urban earners. Your brain is not stupid. It's just running an ancient algorithm that was built for a world where tomorrow wasn't guaranteed. The solution is to make the future feel more present. Give your SIP a name. Call it Freedom 2045 Fund. Link it emotionally to something real, your retirement, your kids' college, a house you actually want to buy. When the future has a face, present bias weakens. Trap number two, the complexity illusion. A lot of people delay investing because they feel like they don't understand it enough yet. Let me first learn more about large cap versus flexi cap versus small cap. And so they spend 6 months watching videos, including mine, which I appreciate, without ever clicking Start SIP. Look, here's the reality. A basic Nifty 50 or Nifty Next 50 index fund requires zero expertise. You don't need to be Warren Buffett. You need to be consistent. Analysis paralysis is a wealth killer wearing spectacles and reading glasses. Trap number three, the upgrade trap. This is the big one for Indian urban professionals. Every salary hike gets absorbed by a lifestyle upgrade almost instantly. New phone, bigger apartment, better car EMI, weekend brunches, foreign vacation. Look, I'm not saying don't enjoy your money, I genuinely believe you should, but there's a name for what's happening here. It's called hedonic adaptation. Research, including long-term happiness studies by Kahneman and others, shows that above a certain income threshold, additional consumption adds very little to actual long-term happiness. But additional wealth, financial security, that has a measurable lasting impact on life satisfaction. The upgrade trap has a simple solution. Pay yourself first. Before lifestyle, before rent, automate your investment. On salary day, the SIP fires automatically. You never see that money as available. It's gone before your brain can spend it. Alright, so you've sat through the stats and the psychology lecture. Let's get practical. Three things, right now, this week. Step 1. Run your actual numbers. Not your salary, your net take-home minus fixed expenses. Sit down, write it out, no guessing. Salary in, rent out, EMIs out, groceries estimate, utilities. What's actually left? Most people are genuinely shocked when they do this exercise. The number is usually higher than they thought because lifestyle spending is invisible until you track it. Apps like Fee Money, Jupiter, or even a basic Google Sheet will work. No excuses on this one. Step 2. Start or increase one SIP this week. If you have zero investments, open a Zerodha Coin, Grow or Parak Parekh direct plan account today. Pick a Nifty 50 index fund or a large cap flexi cap fund. Start with whatever you can, even 2000 rupees. The goal is not the amount. The goal is to start the habit and get compounding working for you even a little bit. You can add more next month, but you cannot add the time you lost by waiting. Step 3. Kill your most expensive debt. If you have a credit card balance or a personal loan charging above 20% interest, and remember, credit cards in India charge 29 to 45%, that is a genuine financial emergency. Nothing else matters. No SIP, no investment until you've cleared that. Here's the framing most people miss. Paying down high interest debt gives you a guaranteed risk-free post-tax equivalent return equal to the interest rate itself. For any debt above 15 to 20%, that beats average market returns net of risk and tax. Because unlike a SIP, there's zero volatility. You are not betting on the market doing well. You are locking in a certain gain. To be fair, if you have a very low interest loan, say a home loan at 8 to 9%, the calculus is different. Equity markets have historically outpaced that over long horizons. But credit card debt at 35%, there is no mathematical argument for investing before clearing that. Make a list of all debts ranked by interest rate and throw every extra rupee at the highest interest one first. This is the avalanche method, and mathematically it saves you the most money. Here's the thing about money in India right now. We are living in a genuinely historic moment. India's GDP is projected to grow at 7.3% in 2026. Per the IMF's January 2026 update, that makes us one of the fastest growing major economies on the planet. Our financial markets are among the most dynamic in the world. We led global IPO issuances in FY 2026. The middle class is expanding, digital financial infrastructure, UPI, direct mutual fund access, zero brokerage investing means the barriers to wealth building have never been lower in this country's history. And yet, the average Indian professional is still stuck in the same loop: earn, spend, borrow, EMI, survive, repeat. The shocking money stats we talked about today are not a verdict on your intelligence or your work ethic. You are clearly smart. You watched a 13-minute finance video, which means you're already ahead of most people. These stats are the result of a system: schools that never taught us money, a culture that glorifies salary over net worth, and a financial industry that profits from your confusion. But here's what I want you to walk away with today. The math is on your side if you start now. The compounding doesn't care whether you're from a rich family or a small town. It doesn't care about your college. It just cares about time and consistency. 5,000 rupees a month, 12% returns, 25 years, that's 94 lakh rupees from an investment of 15 lakh rupees total. That's real, that's possible, that's you if you start this week. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't wait until you understand enough. Don't wait for next month. Start ugly, start small, but start now. If this video gave you at least one thing you're going to actually do, hit that thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and more Indian professionals need to have this conversation. Drop a comment below telling me which of these 3 steps you're committing to this week. I actually read every comment. Well, I try to, and I'd love to know where you're starting from. Next week, we are going to break down something that almost nobody's talking about: the hidden cost of not negotiating your salary. The data on this one will absolutely flow you. Until then, take care of your money, because it's the only one that's going to take care of you. Peace.